All right, I take it you all came to play. Here we go. Your first face-off leading up to a lanyap of 20 points is this. Following the November 4th elections, the Senate will be controlled by Republicans for the first time in 26 years. For 10 points, name the man who was president at that time 26 years ago. The last
St.
time...
Aug, Charles.
Harry Truman?
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Can you take it? Riverdale. Anyone?
Riverdale, Lamier.
Eisenhower.
It was Dwight Eisenhower. 26 years ago was Eisenhower had succeeded Truman at that time, so it was the next tenure. We have an audio lanyap now. So if you listen, we're going to play some music and then ask you two questions. So listen to this first. Here we go. Fading off there. What happened? What happened to the theme? Oh, you probably know it by now. You probably heard it many, many times. I want you to tell me the name of the well-known television series for which this was the theme. Can't ring in. It's Riverdale.
Oh. Star Trek.
That's right. It is Star Trek. We haven't got to the more recognizable theme, but anybody who's a Trekkie knows every note. The music was composed by two men, one named Courage. The co-composer of the theme was also the man credited with creating and being the inspiration of Star Trek. Can you name him for 10 more?
Gene Roddenberry.
That's correct. You got 20 points. Riverdale High. Roddenberry it was indeed. We have another face-off. We're going for a lanyap at 20 and the so-called greenhouse effect. Visible light is let into the planet Venus. For a quick 10 points, what kind of light is not let out due to the Venusian atmosphere?
Riverdale, Brown.
Ultraviolet?
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Can you take it,
St. Aug, Jenkins.
Infrared.
You're right. Infrared for 10 points. You're on the board, St. Aug. Trailing by 20, you got a chance to catch up right quick if you can get both parts of this question. 5 miners were killed in an explosion in a coal mine in West Virginia last week. The explosion is thought to be due to a gas commonly known as marsh gas. For 10 points, give me the chemical name for this gas. Sometimes called marsh gas. Chemically, it is... No, can't ring in. Boy, everybody's so eager. They're jumping from each side.
Methane.
Right. All right. Now, for 10 more, and you can tie. For an additional 10 points, can you tell me the chemical formula for the methane molecule? You can go.
CH4.
That's right. You got it. 20 points. St. Augustine. Okay, it's a flat-footed tie at 30-all. There's a face-off going for a lanyap of 20 points, teams. Considered by many to be the greatest woman athlete of all times, she won 2 gold medals at the 1932 Olympics.
St. Aug, Harrison.
Babe. Babe?
You need the full name.
Oh.
I'm afraid we're going to have to turn it over. We need the full name.
Riverdale, Lamier.
Babe Dietrichson.
That's right. Babe Dietrichson, Zaharias. And you have it for 10 points. Sorry, he undoubtedly knew who it was, but we had to have the full name. Okay, one of the perils of playing Varsity Quiz Bowl. Here's a Riverdale lanyap at 20 points. The Colorado River. The Colorado River flows into the Gulf of California after traveling a length of 1,450 miles. For 5 points each, tell me the large bodies of water, not rivers, the large bodies of water into which each of the following rivers immediately flow. All right? Mackenzie River flows into what? Not counting rivers.
Mississippi.
No, it's into the Arctic Ocean. Seine River.
The Atlantic Ocean.
No, it's the English Channel. Yangtze River. The Yangtze.
Indian Ocean.
No, it's the East China Sea. East China Sea. How about the Columbia River? Columbia.
Pacific Ocean.
You got it? 5 points for Riverdale. Riverdale leading 45-25. Here's another face-off. We're going for a lanyap, in this case, of 25 points. For 10 points now, teams, tell me, on board a ship, how many times in 24 hours is it 8 bells?
St. Aug, Jenkins.
6.
You're right. 6 times for 10 points. It is 8 bells at 4 a.m., 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., 8 p.m., and midnight. All right, you're up to 35. Trailed by 10. Here's a chance to pick up 25. For 5 apiece, correctly identify the following superlatives in the business world. First, the largest oil company with respect to assets and employees. The biggest of them all.
Exxon.
Exxon is correct. For 5 more, the largest single store with respect to floor space at one place.
Macy's.
That's right. It's 50 acres, by the way. Top revenue-earning carriage hotel business. Biggest of-
Hilton.
What's that?
Hilton.
No, you might be surprised. I was. It's the Holiday Inn, the Holiday Inn franchise chain, which qualifies as a carriage hotel. The insurance company with the highest volume of insurance in force. All right?
Mutual of Omaha.
No. Well, it's a biggie. It's The Rock, Prudential. And finally, the department store chain with the greatest number of stores. Greatest number of stores.
Wilco.
No, it's one of the bigger, but J.C. Penney is the biggest. You picked up 10 points. St. Augustine. The score's tied. 45 to 45 now. We have a face-off going for a lagniappe at 20. A famous American novelist wrote under the pseudonyms both of Jonathan Oldstyle and Dietrich Knickerbocker. For 10 points, what was
Riverdale
his?
Lamier.
Washington Irving.
You're right, it was. Washington Irving, you broke the tie. Score is now 55-45. Riverdale leading with a chance to pick up 20 more. Most cities have sports arenas, as we have the Superdome. For 5 points each, name the city in which each of these arenas is located. The Cow Palace. Isn't that an elegant name for an arena? The Cow Palace. Ask for an answer, please.
Dallas.
No, it's in San Francisco. The Omni. The Omni.
Atlanta.
Correct. The Astrodome is where?
Houston.
You bet. Finally, Wrigley Field.
New York.
No, it's in Chicago, but you picked up 2 of them, and that's 10 more points for Riverdale. Riverdale 65, St. Augustine 45. Here's another face-off now, teams. We're going for a lagniappe at 20. For a quick 10, tell me the year in which Louisiana was admitted as a state to the Union.
Riverdale Lamier.
1812.
1812's right, you got it. 10 points. All right, we have a lagniappe of 20 points as a result of that. You probably need pencil and paper for this lagniappe, but you should nonetheless be able to answer quickly. Give me the number which is next in each of the following series of numerical progressions. All right, number 1, here's the progression. 13, 26, 78, 312, and what would be the next number in that progression?
624.
No, I'm afraid not. It would be 1560. Now, what happens is the first one, 13, was multiplied by 2, the second one by 3, the third by 4, and the fourth by 5, which would have created that progression to 1560. All right, same idea. Number 2, the numbers are 9, 27, 81, 243, and what's the next? In that progression, one common denominator. The next number would be 729. Each number was multiplied by 3 in this case. These are very tricky to do on the spur of the moment. All right, we'll move on to another face-off team. No, we won't. The buzzer means, of course, the signal for a rapid-fire round. That climaxes every first half of Varsity Quiz Bowl. In rapid-fire, very simply, I ask the questions as quickly as they're answered. If you answer correctly, it's 10 points. An incorrect answer is a -5. There's only one answer per question and no referrals. So we continue apace, question to answer, until the 2 minutes are up. At that time, you'll hear a buzzer again. This rapid-fire round concerns people, places, and things based on general knowledge. The answers will all begin with the letter H, or hello, or help, or whatever. Okay, ready, let's go. Number 1, D2O.
St. Aug Jenkins.
Hydrogen.
No, it's heavy water. Rope or strap with a head stall for tying or leading an animal.
Riverdale
Anyone?
Brown.
Halter.
Halter's correct. Noah's second son.
St. Aug Jenkins.
Ham.
Correct. Side of a right triangle opposite the right
St.
triangle.
Aug Jenkins.
Right.
Hypotenuse.
That's right. Very small, brightly colored bird with long bill for feeding on nectar.
St. Aug Jenkins.
Hummingbird.
Correct. U.S. educator and proponent of the great books. The University of Chicago's Dr. Hutchins. All right, instrument for measuring time by the trickling of sand through a small opening from...
St. Aug Jenkins.
It is an hourglass, hourglass. An oriental water pipe is what? Water pipe is called a hookah, a scientific name for modern man.
St. Aug Mercadale.
Homo sapiens.
That's correct. Religious leader born in England, a founder of Rhode Island, beginning with H. Hutchinson. Public park in London, noted for people making speeches on popular issues.
Riverdale Brown.
Hyde.
That's right, Hyde Park. Chemical formula for hydrochloric acid.
St. Aug Jenkins.
HCl4.
No, for it's HCl. Dog used for pulling sleds in the Arctic.
Riverdale,
Often
Lamier.
Husky.
Husky's correct. Hamlet's best friend was.
Riverdale, Lamier.
Horatio.
That's right. A breed of large black and white cattle raised for milk and beef.
St. Aug, Jenkins.
Hereford.
No, Holstein. The Haight-Ashbury Group and other long-haired protesters, especially in California.
Riverdale,
were-
Lamier.
Hippies.
Correct. Mercenary troops who fought for the British in the
St.
Revolutionary...
Aug, Mercadale.
Hessians.
That's correct. Cape and National Seashore on an island off North Carolina is called what? Cape Hatteras. Yankee Doodle saw the men and boys as thick as what? Hasty Pudding. She wore a scarlet letter. What was her name?
St. Aug, Charles.
It was Hester. A plane figure with 6 sides and 6 angles.
Riverdale, Lamier.
Hexagon.
That's correct. Egyptian picture writing. Right on the buzzer. I'm afraid the buzzer's already sounding. Boy, everybody wanted to crack at that one. Hieroglyphics was the answer, of course. Still got a good game going, though. And we're going to be back in just a moment. We'll resume play, and of course we'll be talking to the captains about their schools and some of their many, many activities. So stay tuned, won't you?
Next on Nova, the wizard who spat on the floor. Thomas Edison, the king of American ingenuity. His inventions revolutionized modern living. But who was the man behind the legend? How did he live? And did he really invent all that we give him credit for? Thomas Edison, the wizard who spat on the floor. Next time on Nova.
See it Tuesday evening at 7 on Channel 12.
Second half play will begin in just a few minutes. Face-off. We're leading up to a lanyap of 30 points to start the second half. This is going to be a visual, incidentally, so direct your attention to the 2 monitors or television screens in our studio that you're facing. Conductor, composer, pianist. Can you name this well-known...
Riverdale, White.
Burt Bacharach.
You got it. Burt Bacharach right off the top. All right, 10 points and a chance of 30 more. There are many famous quotations which have been the result of war or fighting. For 10 points each, Riverdale. Identify the person who's accredited with each of the following. First, we have met the enemy and they are ours.
MacArthur.
No, this was Oliver Hazard Perry. You may fire when ready, Gridley. Who uttered that famous pronouncement?
Horatio Nelson.
No, this was, well, it was another Navy man, George Dewey in this case. And finally, this is a great quote, nuts. That was it, pure and simple.
Tony McAuliffe.
That's right, it was, Anthony McAuliffe. The Germans asked him, I believe, to surrender at the Battle of Bastogne. And he said, send him back a message, nuts. Another face-off, going for a lanyap at 20. Voyager 1, speeding toward Saturn, is turning its television eyes on Saturn's moons. For 10 points, can you tell me how many moons Saturn
St. Aug,
has?
Harrison.
17.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Riverdale.
Riverdale, Lamier.
10.
No, all around it. 15. 15. All right, we have another face-off. We're going for a lanyap at 20 again for 10 points. If you had a small quantity of ascorbic acid on your tongue, ascorbic, pardon me, ascorbic acid on your tongue.
Riverdale,
should you
Lamier.
Vinegar.
No, I'm afraid not. We'll repeat for St. Aug. For 10 points, if you had a small quantity of ascorbic acid on your tongue, should you swallow it, spit it out, or run to a hospital? No
St. Aug,
concentration.
Jenkins.
Swallow it.
That's right, it's vitamin C. You've got 10 points. St. Augustine. Here's a lanyap at 20 points. Geographers have not definitely established boundaries between the eastern and western hemispheres, but they usually draw them along the meridians of 20 degrees west longitude and 160 degrees east longitude. For 5 points each, name the continents found only in the eastern hemisphere. Only in the eastern hemisphere. You may consult.
Europe, Africa, and Australia.
All right, and one more. And one more.
Antarctica.
No, the other is Asia. Actually, Asia falls within that boundary of the eastern hemisphere, but you picked up 3. That's 15 points out of a possible 20. St. Augustine. All right, we have another face-off. We're going for a lanyap at 25. He was training as a physician, taught for many years at Harvard Medical School, and had a son who became a Supreme Court justice. However, the name of this American rests upon his poetry and his prose. For 10 points, name this author of The Autocrat of the Breakfast Table and the Chambered Nautilus. Anyone want to take a stab?
Riverdale, Lamier.
Lowell.
No. St. Augustine? It was Oliver Wendell Holmes. We have another face-off. Schools have been named after him. A street in New Orleans has been named after him. And he was the youngest person ever to win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Riverdale,
For 10 points,
Lamier.
can you?
Martin Luther King.
That's correct, it was Martin Luther King. We have a lanyap at 25 points, Riverdale. Traffic engineers solve modern transport. Tell me how the persons described in each of these situations solved their transportation problems. Situation 1, Huckleberry Finn and Jim had to travel up the Mississippi. What was their vehicle?
A raft.
Correct, for 5, or 5 more. Sinbad the sailor was carried from the Valley of Diamonds by a rock. What was a rock?
A bird.
That's right, a gigantic bird. Spelled R-O-C, by the way. Marquette and others explored the St. Lawrence and Mississippi in this Indian craft. What was it?
Canoe.
Canoe's correct. Number 4, in Gershwin's opera, The Crippled Porgy, used this vehicle to transport himself. What was it? It was a small wagon that could be drawn by a goat on occasion. Finally, the Yankee inventor David Bushnell devised this craft, which operated in New York Harbor. What was it? Bushnell. We'll ask for an answer. It was a submarine. A submarine. You picked up 3 more and 15 points. Riverdale High. We have another face-off. We're going for a lanyap of 20 now, teams. In a Bible, reference is made to fire and brimstone. For 10 points, what chemical element is?
St. Aug, Charles.
All right, we'll turn it over to Riverdale. In the Bible, reference is made to fire and brimstone. For 10 points, what chemical element is brimstone? Must ring for recognition. It's sulfur.
Riverdale,
sulfur.
Brown.
We have another face-off. We're going for a lanyap of 20. For a quick 10, tell me what continent or continents are found only in the Western Hemisphere.
St. Aug, Jenkins.
North America, South America.
That's correct for 10 points. St. Augustine. Have a lanyap of 20 now in 4 parts. The Matterhorn is in Switzerland and also Disneyland, I understand. But anyhow, the Cape of Good Hope is in Africa. For 5 points each, tell me in what country you'd find each of the following. The White Cliffs of Dover are located where?
Denmark.
No, they're in England. Secondly, the Black Forest. Black Forest. It's in Germany. Angel Falls. It's in Venezuela. And finally, the Dardanelles. Looking for the country now.
Greece.
So close. Right across from it, Turkey. Turkey. All right, we go on another face-off. We're leading up to a lanyap at 20 for a quick 10 points. Tell me, why is Patty Davis of recent notoriety? Patty Davis. Anyone? Ronald Reagan is her daddy. Okay, another face-off. Northern Californians were relieved last week that no tidal waves of sufficient magnitude to cause damage were generated by the earthquake that struck last Saturday. For 10 points, what is the name given to a tidal wave generated by an earthquake? Don't hear it too often.
Riverdale, Lamier.
Tsunami.
That is exactly correct. It is tsunami. In case you've seen it in a book and weren't quite sure about it, it's T-S-U-N-A-M-I, tsunami. We have another lanyap of 20 points. The modern Olympic Games were first held in Athens, Greece, 1896. The Winter Olympic Games were begun in 1924. For 5 points each, name the only 4 places in the United States which have hosted either of the 2 events. Winter or summer. There have been only 4 since the Olympic Games were started once again in 1896. Give you just a few more seconds.
Lake Placid. Innsbruck.
Remember, this is the United States.
New York. Los Angeles.
All right. I think that's 4, but I'm not sure. That's 3. We had Innsbruck in there, which was moved to New York. Los Angeles is correct. Lake Placid is correct. The other 2 are St. Louis and Squaw Valley, California. Pick up 10 points, Riverdale. All right, another face-off, and we have 20 points of lanyap coming up. According to the language of the American West, if you were a sourdough, would you be most likely to be a baker, a gold
St.
prospector?
Aug, Jenkins.
Bacon.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Riverdale, we'll repeat. You must ring for recognition. According to the language of the American West, if you were a sourdough, would you be most likely a baker, a gold prospector, or the cook on a cattle drive?
Riverdale, Brown.
Gold prospect.
That's right. That's what they call their gold prospectors. Picked up 10 points, and here's a chance at 20 more in Lanyap. I'm going to give you the name of 4 well-known plays, or 5 points apiece. You give me the name of the 20th century author of each of the plays. First, Long Day's Journey into Night. Written in this century.
Tennessee Williams.
No, this was Eugene O'Neill. Second, Our Town. Anyone?
Thornton Wilder.
That's right. Well, it's Thornton Wilder. It's a classic by now. A Streetcar Named Desire.
Tennessee Williams.
Okay. And Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Everybody remembers the play, can't remember the author. It's Edward Albee, actually, and you had 2 of them, and that's 10 points. Riverdale. We have another face-off. We're going for a Lanyap of 30. This famous fictional king had 3 daughters. Goneril,
Riverdale, Lamier.
King Lear.
King Lear it was. Got 10 points. The daughters' names were Goneril, Reagan, and Cordelia. Here's a Lanyap of 30 points, and this is going to be a mystery-type clue question, if you're familiar with this process. You can name the person after 1 clue, you get 30 points. After 2 clues, you earn 20 points, and it's 10 points if it takes all 3. First, he was born in New York City, brought up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and graduated from Swarthmore, which doesn't give you too much except geographical information, does it? Can you tell me who this famous person was? All right, we'll try it for 20 now. In 1948, while an editor in a New York publishing house, he won the Pulitzer Prize in Fiction. Anyone want to take a stab? All right, third one for 10 points. To a Lanyap of 30 points. The face-off is this.